Hello, my name is Ralph and welcome back to the channel. Today we're still working away at the FLHT and we're running into a lot of small issues. And I'm test fitting a lot of stuff and trying to get things to fit, and I've searched through the boxes of parts to try and find things that I might be missing, but to no avail. I'm not finding these parts. So today we're going to try and work on the shift assembly, and I looked in the manual and there's nothing in the manual having to do with the shifter at all. Luckily I had a parts catalog and it did give me some sort of idea of what might be there, but the only real description that it has was that the mounting bolts were like 4.5 inches long. So I got a set of 4.5 inch mounting bolts to work with, but when I put them through the shift assembly, they're like way long. So we're gonna have to figure out something to do with this. Along with that, the bushings that were in here just fell out, so we're gonna have to make new bushings for it as well, and then see where we can go from there. So this is where, near as I can figure, it's supposed to go, and this actually bolts in here into the primary case. But like I say, when I put this on here, these are way long. Now I think, according to the diagram, I'm gonna have to make spacers to space this out and some sort of unit to connect the inner primary or the outer primary case to the bolt once it's in on the top and the bottom, because this certainly won't be enough to support it. And judging from the drawings, I'm thinking it's something like that. So we're gonna have to go ahead and scratch our head and try to determine what should be on there and what we can make that maybe possibly was the original part. Like I say, there's nothing in the manual about it, so that's the plan for today. So we're gonna go along, make some bushings, try to make some pieces, and we'll show you how we come along. So as I said, the bushings in these are really shot. I think you can see how much play there is on that, and the actual bushings are just falling right out. So what we're going to try and do is make new bushings for it. I've got them on the lathe there. I'm going to spin them out, press them in there, and see if we can tighten this mess up. To start with, that'll be our first step. So we've got one in one side. Just going to tap the other one in here. And there we go. That should do it. It's a nice fit in there. No play. It's just exactly what we're looking for. Better than what it was, for sure. All right. Now we got to get on to make our other spacers now that we need. And I've determined that they're going to be 1 inch. So I found a little piece of tubing that I can cut up here, and we're going to make those 1 inch. And then we'll work on the other little pieces that hold it in. So now we've spun out some little bushings like this. And this unit goes in this way, and then we're going to have our bushings on. We've cut out a little piece of cardboard here, which has our hole for the primary 1/4 inch bolt, and this one for the 5/16. And we're going to cut a couple out of plate steel and see if we can make those work. So in that kind of case, what'll happen is we'll have our unit here like this. We'll slide this through the large bolt and a spacer, and we should end up with something like that. This will bolt to the primary case here and support it here, and that's the plan. So right now we'll take it over, we'll test our little piece and make sure that that's proper, and if that's proper, I'll make a couple of these little units out of steel, and that should alleviate the problem, hopefully, and make for better shifting. So now we've got our pieces here, and we're going to try our spacer and our bolt and our little small unit here. And the spacer. We'll just stick the bottom one in. We know we're straight. And if we take this here, we'll probably have to put a small washer to make up for the indentation in the back. Primary cover. So that should give us what we want, and this little piece will be off of here to support this side, and we've got to make another one for the bottom on this bolt to support this side, and that will give maximum support to the whole unit. And I think that will do it. I think that's sort of what was in the diagram. Now we may have to trim them a little bit here to get them to fit proper, but we're going to go ahead and try to make some and see how it goes. So we'll take this off. So we'll slide our shifter in just to make sure that that's all right. And we've trimmed a couple of them, just a little bit off of here so it doesn't interfere with this lip on here. The bottom one not so much, but this one here definitely has a lip there, so we've made one a little bit heavier. Our spacer here. And our spacer. Our bottom one down here. There we go. That unit now is solid. We just need to put our shift rod back in across here, which we have room for here. Gives us lots of room to shift back and forth. This has been fixed. This is nice and tight, and that won't go anywhere. So it may not exactly be what the book says, but this is gonna do our job, and you have to support this, as the 5/16 bolt won't support it by itself, but now it's supported off the inner primary as well, so that won't move, and that will take all the torque, and we have no play in this now. Probably have to put like a small spacer of a thrust washer of sorts on it, because it still wants to move and play there, so I'll see what I can come up with for a thrust washer in here. So what I found to work there is actually a drain plug, primary case drain plug washer. It's got a bit of rubber in between and brass, and that just fits that perfect. So if we put this on and we push it in as far as we can, we have free movement there, but almost no movement back and forth. That's going to make for a nice tight shifting assembly. So I'm pleased with that. You got to adapt what you can adapt to make it work. So that looks like it's going to do it for that. And having it supported in the 4 points, basically 2 in the case and 2 in the outer case, I think is how it's supposed to go according to the parts diagram. Like I say, I can't get a picture of the proper setup for that. The manual is pretty vague on stuff, but I think that will do it. So clean those parts up and maybe put a little bit of paint on them, and then that's another problem out of the way, and I feel good about that. Got to get a thrust washer there, so I'll see what I can do about that. One more thing down. All right. So we're a little dark in here, but I'm trying to get things lined up with my laser, and I've got this little laser unit, and I'm going to put it on the sprocket here and shine it back, and I should see it shining on the outside links. That's about what I'm looking for. You can see it just shining on the links, and that's what I'm shooting for. just on those outside links. I can do it back this way. And we can just see it across the sprocket here. And you can see it's right on the outside links there in the front. So I know that I'm lined right up. It's pretty hard to see there. There we go, right there. So as you can see there, everything's lined up, and I've tightened the axle up so I know we're right in line, these two sprockets. So that's what we're shooting for, and everything else should be in line as well. It's a little bit extra fooling around, but this little laser takes a lot of the guesswork out. And when we roll the wheel around, we can now see that the sprocket is running in the middle of our chain. And there you can see the sprocket is lined right up in the middle of the teeth, and that's what we're shooting for. So it's a little bit of fooling around, but sometimes, you know, I have to do that for my own peace of mind, to see where I'm at. And now I know. Now it's getting on at the end of the day, but I've tightened everything down, I've got everything in place. So one last check. I want to see if my primary cover is going to slide on, or whether I'll be into a nightmare tomorrow. So let's slide her on and see what happens. Here we go, right into place like we would want it. So with that, I'm going to call it a day. Tomorrow we're going to put our electrics in, get them ready, and then we can start bolting the primary on. Once the primary's bolted on, start putting the starter, all that sort of stuff on there. So, but looks good in there. That looks good. That looks good. So today we're going to start. I've checked my primary and it fits good the way I want. I've gone around and checked all my bolts. Everything's tight. Everything's locked down. So now we're going to start putting the alternator in it. And I always like to put a little bit of silicone right around here. Not only does it help seal it up, but it makes it a little easier to slide in as well. A little messy, but it'll stop any chance of oil coming out the front there. So we're going to try and get it going in there, which can always be a test of a bit.
A new charging system, something she needs. Each part put in right will make it a breeze. When the belt drive goes in, make sure everything's right. It can't be loose, and it can't be too tight. They must be in line, or else it can blow. So just take the time, so you never feel low. New start, a new piece, a new bandage drive. When we press the button, more, she will come alive.
Oh, there we go. Now screw this little one in here, and I know that when it's flush here, it's not touching anything. So we're just going to go in a little bit farther, just enough so that it touches. You don't want to screw that right in, because if you screw it in, you'll screw into the rubber and through the point, through the wires, and then you won't be a happy camper. Oh, I got the top one in there. That's that. So what we're going to do now is test fit the belt drive on there before I put the primary on and everything. I want to make sure my belt drive is lined up. Also taken our clutch basket, and we've installed the big fix in here with the ramjet retainer with long rollers, so that will work all right. So we're just going to slip that on. This here is concave in here. I'll have to get a washer that'll be flush with the top of this, so that I can use that in there, because if I put it in like that, it'll just want to crush that tin thing out and I won't get a good seal, and if I don't get it on there tight, then it can loosen up. So that's got to be on there singing tight. So I've got to find a spacer, an engine spacer that is flush with that. So we'll go have a look and see what I can find, because I can't use the one that they give you for this. Of course, won't fit inside of the belt drive, and although it's close, it's not right. So I've got a smaller spacer here now, which is just level with the back of this. Pretty well dead on. And we're going to slip our front pulley on. It'll cooperate with me today. There we go. Slide those into where they're supposed to be. And I'm just going to take a straight edge and go along the back of the basket here. And as you can see, now our basket is lining up with the edge of this. And that's what we're looking for here. So the ruler tells me that I'm right out to the edge here. I could put it up this way. Also, you see we're right on the edge by placing this way. And I can also look at the rear of the belt. Put that on the rear, and it lines right up with the back side. So that's what we're looking for. Once again, just to check. In tight, and that will tell us that our belt is lined up where it should be in there. So it's important to get that right, because if the belt runs off, it will cause premature wear on the belt, etc., etc. So by placing this flat edge on the back of my pulley, I can see that I'm right out to the edge here, right exactly where I want to be. So we know that that's in place. We've got everything else ready here now, and we've put our O-ring in here. We're making sure that it's around the bottom of the lip, being sure. And now we're going to try and fit our primary case on. So we've got our bolts here. We'll start by putting the bolts in place. I get my Loctite and slide that in place. Top one, these ones will be safety wired in here. Just snug these up and pull our case in tight over that O-ring. There we go on that. Short one in here. Now these rear ones are kind of a weird setup. We do have these little locks on them, but they suggest that these are safety wired around the tab. That was their earlier way of doing it. Kind of difficult. We want to make sure and pull that tab out so that we can safety wire around it. Now I'm just going to check the torque specs on those, set up my torque wrench, torque them into place, and then we'll know that's right. So I'll grab my torque wrench and we'll do that. Oh, we got 16 to 18 pounds on here, so I'm 16 and a half. Okay, that should be that. Now we're gonna have to safety wire these two bolts in here and safety wire these. So I'll have to get my stuff ready and get them in place. I'll have to put these ones in the front because we're not using the 1/4 inch bolts. And I wanna make sure that we don't have any problems there. I am going to torque those just to be sure that those will suck in there. Now, as I say, I'll take the other two out of the front when I get the shift assembly on there. But I need the outer primary on to do that. So for today, that's going to do good. So I'm going to get some safety wire and start to safety wire some things up. Well, we're going to try and get these ones, whoops, twisted up. Okay. Get down through the bottom of it. Make sure we're in the right direction.
Get the primary on, all the bolts wired up tight. Everything's lined up perfect. We're making it right. Sometimes it seems that everything's right, but some things can take you well into the night.
Alright, that one's going to take a little fooling around, so I'm just going to take my time here and do that. It looks like I got a little piece stuck in that one, so I'll have to look at it. There's a little small hole in the tab to safety wire it to. So I'll come back when I got it. I've got the other one done up here, so I'm just going to try and get this one. Go, just trying to get it around that side of the nut so it helps keep it tucked in there. And I think I'll just give those a little tap. Down a little bit, lock it in. There we go. And now you can see that it's locked down through the nut, through here, so it can't spin, and I've tapped those back down in behind. Same with this one here. Done it, tapped it down in so it doesn't stick out. And that's the way they're supposed to be. We've also got these safety wired around because the bolt, if it tries to come loose, has to turn out this way, so we're coming over this side of it and around the bottom side of it. Same thing, the bolt would have to come out this way to try and loosen, so that'll keep it from loosening up in there. So while all that's in place, I'm going to go around and put my starter drive in, put my starter on the other side, get my starter drive slipped into place here before I put the clutch basket on, so there's no interference with it. Once the clutch basket is on, lots of times you can't get that in there without loosening this off, and this top one here we can get at in this bike, but in most bikes you can't. So I'm going to go around and do that. So what we're going to try and do is get our starter in there, and I'm going to put a little grease on the gear itself. Once it runs around there, it'll have some grease on it, and we're going to slide that on our shaft. If I can get at it here. See around there. Okay. And we've We've greased the inner bearing up as well. Slide that into place. Make sure our gear is engaged there. And we've got some Loctite on our screws, bolts. And we'll have to get our rear one, and we've got a couple things to go on here. Ground straps. And I had to put a new cover on that one. Just barely enough room for the starter to slip in there, so it's pretty tight. It's pretty tight in there to get the starter in there behind the oil lines. All right, time to get all the parts together. I don't like the way that's going in there. That don't feel right. I'm not gonna force it. Take it out, have a look. Make sure there's no discrepancy in the threads for some god-forsaken reason. I'm gonna have to check that out because that doesn't seem to want to thread in there. Probably because it's chromed over. So I'm just gonna have to check some things first before I go and try to force that in there. So when I went to put my starter in, I went to these long bolts that go through your starter and go into the housing in here. And when I started trying to thread them into the housing, they wouldn't thread in. And I took the old bolts out, they threaded in fine. So I thought I had to look at this farther. So it's a little tip. When you get a new starter like this or something, they chrome over the threads. And what happened was there was a ball, a piece of it balled up in the top of the threads, enough that it was hard to get the little nut off that was holding them together. And when I tried to screw them into here, they wouldn't screw in at all. They go in like 2 threads and then tighten up. Now I could have cranked it in and forced it, but I learned a long time ago not to do that because then I can end up with stripped threads and having to deal with that. So I took them over and I run a die over all the threads and then tried the nuts on them, and now they're fine. So let's make an attempt again to try and get this in here. It's just hard to hold it up and get it in place. There we go. We just gotta keep a little pressure on that. Turn it until we can feel the hole, and now it will thread in by hand. See if we can get the other one started. A little 13 that I can put on there, so we'll have to do it the hard way. Okay, now we've got a small plate that we have to hook up on the outside here, which is going to be part of this bolt. It seems to me there was a small spacer that went there. I think that went in there. That in there, we're going to need, I think we're going to need the 2 smaller nuts in behind it, but I'll try it in there. Yeah, we need to put the small nuts in there. Okay. It is a jigsaw puzzle as you go, that's for sure. I'm trying to remember every little thing. It is sometimes hard. Sometimes hard. Now, we'll try again. better. Check that. That looks better. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, need the small support bracket. We need to take the lock washer off the back. Yeah. Sometimes it's just the little things that make things stand out far enough that they just, you could force it, you can tighten them in there and bend things. You know, use the old, well, if it don't fit, force it rule. If it don't fit, force it often doesn't work very well. So for the moment it takes to take those little lock washers off the back, because these nuts are just a spacer, they're not holding anything tight, and I'd rather have them on the outside. All right, let's try that now.
New start, new pieces, a new bandage drive. When we press the button, she will come alive. Wiring things up could be such a chore, but if things aren't right, there's trouble in store. A few bad connections can easily fry, so do all the hard work to make sure she won't die.
There we go. All right. So, we're gonna put our solenoid bolts in, Loctite on them. We've put our gasket in here, a new gasket, and we have to put our spring in here. Make sure the spring goes in, into the plunger. And we'll just slide that in place there. See if we can get a bolt in. It's not going to want to go that way. I'm going to go around the other side. Hold this in a little better. Now we need to do some wiring and get those things set up. So I got to look for my cables, figure out which is which, and which one to use and which one not to use, and our small one for here. Now I wanted to check some of the wiring because the wiring's kind of funky in there. I got to look for a cable, a couple things. So I'm just going to stop here and have a look, see what I can find. So when we're trying to hook these studs up in here, there's a short stud and a long stud, and the starter cable goes onto the short stud. Now in this case it's in quite deep, and I want you to take note that there's a nut sticking out here, and if you just put that on there like that and tighten it up, you could hit that nut. So you have to be aware of that and make sure that your cable is pointed directly down away from it. We want to tighten it up in that position. Keep it away from that stud. Because that puts juice to the starter, and if that stud moves out and touches that up there, and when you hit your starter, it will short out. There's not much else I can do with it. I can't really wrap it. I can't think I can put anything on that. And it was touching there before because I could see it crushed out on there. But she seems to be okay there now. Your tan is your starter cable wire from your switch, from your relay. Okay. Now, last but not least, is to get this one up in there. And we'll keep that downwards because we know that we're going through the opening down through the bottom. That's off of that one. Just snug her up. That should do it. Now there's a bracket that goes on in the back there for the exhaust, but I'm running a new dual exhaust system, so I'm not quite sure what's there for support or what kind of support it's going to supply. So I'll have to look and see what the two bolts were up in there. The stock setup had this kind of thing that went up in there, But like I say, we're not running that, so we'll have to get the rear pipe out and see where it's going to run in there. And then yes, I'll have to take those bolts out and put a new bracket in there, but there's no sense doing it right now until I start fooling with the exhaust. All right, that's another step. So there, we've got it all cleaned up. I've put some wrap around these pieces just to hold them together and clean it up a little bit in there. It looks nice. The tan wire, like I say, this is from your start button, your starter relay for your starter. So everything's in there where it should be and cleaned up, and looks very presentable. And you'll see this, I mean, the exhaust will come down here, but this will be quite visible. So it's nice to have it cleaned up so it looks good and presentable. So I'm pleased with that. So while I'm getting down to buttoning some things up, I thought I'd show you this little tool here. If I can get it all in the frame. It's bent up here with a point on it. And on here I just have a little rubber thing that I can slide back and forth on it. Now in order to make sure your back wheel's lined up, you can't just do it by the chain, although I've done it with the laser. And I think that I'm pretty close. But in order to check its alignment in with the frame, you need this kind of tool. And what we're going to do is put it in here. There's a little mark in the center of that, and I've put a mark on my axle back here, right in the center, and I've lined my little unit up, and I've measured the axle and put a mark on it so I can see it, and I know that's right where I want to be. So what I have to do now is go around the other side and check to see if that fits properly, and if that ends up being the same as this, then I'm golden. They say if it's not in line, you can adjust the front motor mount over, back and forth to try and bring it in line. They say not to just try it by lining up the back wheel without doing this and making sure that your frame is straight as well. So I'm going to go around and check the other side. And even though there's no center point in this bolt, we just go as close as we can go. So this one doesn't have a center hole in it, but we're going to try to put it right in the center of that bolt. And we check it here, and I'm in the center of the bolt here. That's right where I want to be. So knowing that that's lined up now, we're going to torque it down. The book says 50 pounds. Doesn't seem like a lot, but probably pull a little extra on that. We'll go 53 on it. It says 50, but put a little bit of extra on there. Doesn't seem like a lot, but we've red Loctited it on there and we'll let it sit, so that should hold it fine, and we know that we're in line. So if you enjoyed this video today, like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, do those kind of things. It helps us to grow. Josephine sure is coming along, and we're on the downside now. We're getting things tidied up like they should be. Working on any project takes you time and takes you patience, and I wish you all the best with your projects and that you can make them grow. I also want to say a special shout out to my grandchildren out in Alberta. My son sent me a little video the other day of one of them watching me on TV, and it's the only way I really get to see them face to face. So, Rain, Forrest, Sage, hey guys, glad you're watching me. Stick with us. I got lots more to show you about mechanics as we go. By the way, if I haven't said so yet, please check out my brothers down south, Hippie's Chopper Corner. Hippie's got a bunch of stuff on the go. He's got a raffle bike coming. There's a lot of things happening. I'm sure you'll enjoy his channel. And Slickhead's Custom Cycles. Slick's also getting a lot on the go in the summertime, and he's out to the swap meets already, and it's exciting to see all the things that are available. So check those boys out, Hippie's Chopper Corner, Slickhead's Custom Cycle. With that being said, stick around for next week. Josephine's getting closer all the time. We're looking at getting like up into maybe 18, 19 degrees here tomorrow on Saturday and Sunday. It's supposed to be the nicest weather we've had. I'm gonna look at getting the Black Pearl out and go for a drive. So yes, Hip, yes, Slick, the weather's breaking here. Time to get out and enjoy ourselves. So all yous out there, play safe, have a good time. We've managed to crank off another one this week. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep it up all summer. It takes me a lot of time. For all yous that enjoy having a little tune down at the end, I got one this week for you. Check it out.
boxes with grease. A single parts manual was all that we had. We had to make pieces, no need to get mad. A super small laser to get things in line. Got the sprockets aligned and made everything fine. Get the primary on, all the bolts wired up tight. Everything's lined up perfect, we're making it right. Sometimes it seems that everything's right, but some things can take you well into the night. When things don't feel right, take a moment and check. If it don't fit, just force it, we'll just lead to a wreck. A new charging system is something she needs. Each part put in right will make it a breeze. When the belt drive goes in, make sure everything's right. It can't be too loose and it can't be too tight. They must be in line or else it can blow. So just take the time so you never feel low. New start and new pieces, a new Bendix drive. When we press the button, she will come alive. Wiring things up can be such a chore.